So I am very excited. I get more nervous for these actually than any other ones, and mostly because these are my coaches' corners, and I've been bringing on very close, near and dear friends, and also to some of the best coaches I've ever been around. And that's really what's really driven me to kind of do this. And so we're blessed today. We have Coach Donna. We have to kind of get some specifics here and whether or not I got to call her like Coach Dr. Donna or Dr. Coach Donna or exactly how that goes. Donna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Okay, good. I'm doing well.
Yeah?
You don't have to call me anything but Donna.
Yeah. All right. Is that how you do it with your patients and athletes and members?
Yes, pretty much. But I kind of get in trouble for that. So
do you feel like is that more of the athlete in you? Because I know that when I was an athlete and people would tell me like, hey, coach, what's up? I'd be like, what'd you say to me? And they'd be like, coach. And I'm like, no, coach is one who does and no longer does. And I'm not quite retired yet. It really used to affect me. So just call me Mr. Mormont or Max. And they'd be like, what the hell? So I could respect that if you're not ready to retire yet.
Well, I think I'm okay with people calling me coach, but it's the doctor part that I'm like, you don't have to call me that.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, I just start stacking them on. Just start stacking more acronyms, more names. So, I mean, at this point, you got like a maiden name, you got a last name. I mean, how do I even say your maiden?
I couldn't drop it. It's too cool.
So I told Jillian that if we kept the maiden name, I was 100% for it. But then I would name my children only after her name, and they would have to earn the Mormont. It's like
I actually would like that.
that's ruthless.
I tried to get. I really want. I want Bobby. I wanted her middle name to be Bourgeois, but
yeah, I'm into that.
He fought me hard on that.
I mean,
it kind of sounds like Bobby Boucher. Bobby Bourgeois Diaz. Yeah.
I would poo-poo it, but
if we have another girl, I want to name her Billy. Because I like Billie Eilish so much.
Okay.
Isn't that a cute name?
Bobby and Billy?
Yes.
Oh, I'd be so jealous if you got two girls. So this is your IG and your Facebook. Can you tell me where you're located at? Where are you located at?
Our gym is in San Antonio, Texas. We're off of 281 and 1604. So in Texas cities like Houston and San Antonio, they have loops, right? So you have like an inner loop, like a highway that basically connects the inside, right? So like downtown is usually right in the middle of that inner loop. And then you have another bigger loop. So there's 410 and then 1604. We're straight north, closer to the upper loop.
Yeah, because like Texas in general is almost like, I feel like it's always like a 2-lane highway going both ways. Like, and it's always connected, like no matter what, whether you're in like Dallas or Fort Worth, anywhere I've been in Texas, you could always get to one side of the town by always like these weird diagonal kind of deals.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I've been to Dallas, but I haven't been there enough to really know. I lived in Houston and, living here, I realize there's so many similarities, but I don't even know what they have in Dallas. They're higher class Texas.
Is it like same weather or like what of California or?
No, what in Texas or
where we are right now? San Antonio.
So it's still dry. So being from Louisiana, right, and then moving to Houston, very, very similar. Still super humid. Still like swampy-ish feeling. It gets really cold, but it'll never snow. Or if it snows, it's like a flurry and it, melts by the time it touches the ground. But anyway, it's very dry here. It's more similar to California here than it is, further east for sure.
Yeah, your BO does better in the humidity than it does in the dry, if I recall right.
What, my BO? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's still bad here. So You actually just get more staph infections over there. Not in California, in Houston and Louisiana.
For sure, from the humidity. That's not. It's just more of the water. It just is what it is. What it is.
It just sticks under your skin.
What? So, being that you said you're from Louisiana, then you went. So, give me a little bit about your history. Kind of. I know that you were like a college, pretty high level college athlete. At least you always used to remind me that a couple points higher than mine. Also too, no, I'm joking. That was always me. And then also too, you had like a professional career, and then now you're a doctor. So give me a little bit of your history, like coach's history. Give me a little bit of it.
So I guess I could start with the geography of it, right? So I grew up in a pretty small town. I mean, way smaller than, any of the cities in California, but, or at least in Southern California. So I went to college in the same city, in the same town, UL Lafayette. And then I transferred my senior year because I was playing softball there. I transferred my senior year to University of Houston, and that's how I ended up in Texas. So I played there, and the opportunity I had to play professionally was not because I was, so good that I was drafted into the NPF. That was not the reason. It was because my coach actually vouched for me when they called about the other pitcher on my team. She was the one who was like, "No, you want Donna. You don't want the other one because she works hard, and she'll be probably a better teammate, So anyway, that's what got me the opportunity to go and play professionally, but only for one season, and that was in Chicago for the Chicago Bandits. So it was awesome. If I would have never transferred and played for that coach that I played for at Houston, her name was Kyla Hollis. She also actually was a pitcher, and she went to college at the same college that I transferred from. Okay. So it was kind of like this, nasty rivalry going on there, because even my freshman year when I played at UL, we played University of Houston in super regionals to go to the World Series. Oof. And we beat them, so we got the opportunity to go. But then when I transferred my senior year, I went to her college. She was coaching that team. Okay. And we actually lost in super regionals again, but it was to Oklahoma State. Anyway, so moving on from there, she, that was my opportunity to go and play. But when I came back, I still had school to finish. So I was still in school, finishing like my last semester and a half. I think I finished in the summer, but I wanted to still compete in something. So I started CrossFit. And when I started CrossFit, I joined the gym where Brian was. So that's how I even met Brian, who is, we're married and have a little girl now. But yeah, that kind of started my journey into actually realizing, I worked on one skill my entire life, which was pitching. And then finally I had to go into a sport where you're not good at anything and you have to learn everything as a 22, 23-year-old. You have to start over from scratch, and so you have to put your ego aside, and I was like not good at that. Also was not good at taking coaching very well, coaching on specific things, but as far as like a general coach, like when you play softball and you're a pitcher and the team has a pitching coach, but you also have a head coach. Right. Yeah. And so there's two coaches, and it's like, who do you listen to? So do you listen to this one or you listen to that one? And so there was never this, I just wasn't very good at that. Let me put it that way. So we left from Houston. Brian had an opportunity to go and work in California, and I had just started chiropractic. So I was like halfway through. So we leave and go to California, where you guys are, and they told us about CrossFit Costa Mesa, and then the journey begins there, which is literally like starting all over again as well. It's like you think you know how to do something, and then you go somewhere else and you're like, damn, I suck at this. So putting your ego aside multiple times over and over and over again, and having to relearn another coach, take it in as egoless as possible, was hard, but honestly, I think that that's what helps me now when I'm coaching other people is like trying to communicate that, like, hey, I struggle with the same exact thing you struggle with taking coaching. And, all of us were really good at something at some
Yeah.
time or another whenever we were younger, when we were growing up. And, your parents either told you your coach is an asshole, or they said, no, you need to listen to your freaking coach.
Yeah.
He's right or she's right. And so it's like you build these stories in your head, either right or wrong, or just stories in general. And so it kind of is how you treat every coach from then on.
Would
It's
you say
hard to like get out of that.
Would you say that that's kind of how what got you into coaching? Because that's kind of like my next question. And I know, like now that you're talking about coaching, I feel like as a pitcher and being like a specialist and having to be out there alone, you kind of almost sometimes have to make your own decisions. It's that type of sport. But then again, it is where you're involved with other teammates as well. So baseball is like a really weird kind of individual / like team sport, almost like college golf or tennis, or track and field even, right?
Yes, yes.
So what out of that kind of made you want to become a coach and kind of give that back, just to teach people how to how to deal with their coaches, or physical fitness, health? What drove you more to coaching people with that? Because I know you're not just into like rehab, prehab stuff. You're into every type of development. So what drove you to that?
Well, I actually started coaching when I was a sophomore in high school. Like I started giving pitching lessons to girls who were my age.
Yeah, you broke a lot of my boxes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I
that
got a lot of
wasn't me. That was the kids I was coaching. Sorry, you still have holes in the boxes from.
Right. No, like the middle piece is not even inside. Just so you guys know, I let Donna pitch inside the gym to teach people how to play baseball. And I would come in and I would see this like 15-year-old throwing like, I don't know, 40, 50, I don't know. I feel like if not more miles an hour. And this thing was going everywhere, hitting every part of my gym. So
when you're trying to learn how to throw a new pitch, yeah, they get kind of crazy.
And poor kids, they'd be trying to learn it. Donna was a hard ass like all of us. And then all of a sudden I'm walking in, and then like a group of other coaches and athletes are walking in. It's not always the easiest platform. But
right.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, when you're pitching, you have hundreds, well, in college you do, but you're the center of attention. So if somebody's walking in, you better be okay with them watching you pitch, or else stop pitching,
Are you still teaching people how to pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal.
I actually still have some people in California that I just do FaceTime. I do virtual.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so you're in high school coaching kids.
So I was giving pitching lessons then, but I've always been interested in the why. I always asked why. I think my pitching coach when I was little, when I first started, I guess I started with him, this one coach in particular. He was just super technical, and I'd always ask why, and it probably drove him insane. I probably gave him a few heart attacks. But I just wanted to know. So if he couldn't answer it, I'd try to figure out why myself, And so then I would try to explain it, or like I've always been into trying something physically and then have to try to communicate that back, because if you can communicate it, then you own it. Now it's yours, So until you can do that through your own experiences, you're not going to be a very good coach. I mean, there is a way better athletes than me, pitchers than me, but I don't know. I think I might be one of the best ones at explaining it, like doing it that way, versus, just having to put it into action myself. So, my coaching and teaching passion started super early. And so once I started doing CrossFit, Brian at the first gym we started at, I had to learn a muscle up in order to compete at regionals. So I had to learn a muscle up in 3 months. I started in like the middle of January, and by the middle of April, I had my first muscle up. And It was
I
ugly,
got it the first time.
but I got it.
I just wanted you to know that I got it the first time I was taught. So just
Yeah. Well, and
and
you're a
then
man and you have
right?
denser
Oh
tissue.
my
I mean,
God!
there's a lot of things.
You cannot say that nowadays, Donna. You can't. The best part about that whole situation is the kid that I went with, and we were being taught how to do a muscle up. He did it strict, bastard, and then like really showed up everybody, and everybody was just like, "Oh my God!" So okay, 3 months you taught yourself how to do a muscle up.
No, Brian taught me how to do a muscle up.
Yeah, my man.
And then you had to do double unders. I still couldn't do a wall ball though to save my life.
No.
I couldn't
Oh,
even
no.
like squat below parallel. So that all takes longer, right? Because I literally didn't have to do anything but get into a power position my whole life. I never had to squat. Like, what do you mean? I got to go below parallel? That's weird. So having to do that and then watching all these other people for, forever. Once I got into chiropractic school and I was doing hard shit every day, I was coming to the gym at, doing the 6 a.m. class, going to school all day, sore as hell, and then coming back after school and doing the 5:30 p.m. class and everything with the team and stuff. So it's like you're learning all these things about your own body through your experience. And then you're going into a classroom and sitting there and having to put together, that's exactly why I feel like that. That must be why I feel like that. And it's like you're connecting all the dots. And so having that experience at the same exact time, experiencing it physically and then understanding it mentally, and actually not falling asleep in class because I was charged on the physicality of like using my body, like all my other classmates are like, chugging coffee to try to get through the day. And I'm like, I'm going to go do, like I'm going to go run at lunch, or I'm going to do, some type of mobility routine in the middle of class. I mean, in the middle of the day, so that I can be better in the afternoon, because I got to go do this shit again.
How
Right?
crazy was it that I was trying to sell to you like, hey man, you only got this time one time in your life, and this whole time you're like, but what do you mean? I got all this other stuff going on. I'm trying to go to school. I'm getting my doctorate, all this. And then all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, but I'm telling you, this is the only time in your life that you're really going to be able to train this much. And some kids just do not hear that. And to look back at that and you were able to do all, how cool is that? Like,
well, it's the best thing that I could have done. Right? So like, as hard as it was, I understood that too, though, because everything has a timeline, right? And thank God you did say that, because you were exactly right.
How are you able to
has the sport changed?
How are you able to articulate that to like your members, athletes, clients? Like, hey, it takes time. You have to kind of build into it. Like recovery takes time, development takes time. How do you articulate that to them?
Well, because I have the opportunity to work on them with my hands, and create a change that they can feel or perceive. I think it helps them to trust me when I say things, because they're like, oh, I haven't been able to move my shoulder like this for 3 months, but now I can move it like that based on what you told me. If I did this, this, and this, that it would feel this much better. I guess you were right. So it's like when I say other things, it gets them to think twice about it instead of just going one ear and out the other. But there are some people that no matter what you say, they're not going to believe you. Right? Like some people just don't know how to listen in general. Some people, because that's just where they are in their life in that moment. So as much as I want to beat stuff into people's head, and like actually I catch myself doing kind of being the same exact way as you were in class a lot, because you'd always be like, you'd come in and you would just have this, or people would be like, Max is in a mood today. But it's not that you're in a mood. It's just that if no one ever expects something out of you, you'll never get it out of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, do you want a coach, or do you want a gym with no one in it and you come and work out by yourself?
Yeah.
You going to get better like that? No, you're not. So you can fight me on what I'm telling you and how fast I think you should be able to do this assault bike ride, like how fast you can get 50 cows. It's like, well, there's a reason why you can't do it that speed is because you just don't think you can. And you've never even actually tried because no one ever asked you to do it that fast.
It's funny how it's immediately like it's a mood, and you're like, no, that's who I am. I'm a coach. Like that's
because I care about you.
Yeah. Like, no, I sleep fine. I sleep the same every night. Like I don't sleep much. It's a hard sleep. I get it. But whether or not I'm coming in hard, it is what it is.
Well, and I've had coaches that have been hard on me more mentally or like emotionally, like say stuff to you to get at you, but never really give you the tools to get to where you want to get. Yeah. That's not a good coach. Yeah. Right? If you give me the tools, you push me, you get in my head a little bit, you say some things I don't really want to hear, but the things you're telling me are not necessarily about my character. They're about my actions. They're about things that I'm actually doing. You know what I'm saying? Because I think identifying with, your sport and that being who you are. So if you have a bad day, you feel like shit about yourself, and then you're going to make bad decisions the rest of that day. Right? Versus like, no, this is like having the understanding and the maturity to understand, this is what I'm doing. Like I can get better at this. And when you're telling me that I can do better and be better, it's because you believe that I can. So whether I achieve that today or not, I should still feel good about myself because I freaking tried. Yeah. I did my best. And so, so going back to what I was saying before about like I couldn't take coaching very well was because I didn't have some good coaches. And then I had some great coaches, but I was viewing coaching as the same thing, So when I would hear you say, what I'm trying to think of something you would tell me that I didn't like.
Your legs were
yeah, but that it's a joke, but it's not a joke, but still, I can take it better now. But there's some things like that I used to be told that I was like, I don't think you're supposed to be telling me that,
No, there was something your handstand push-ups. You did me dirty at one competition with handstand push-ups. So then from then on, I probably told you had shitty handstand push-ups. And then I never got a dirty handstand push-up workout from you again. Let me tell you.
No, then they actually got way better.
Was that what it was? Right? Handstand push-up. You took a number that probably I told you not to take, and then it went to shit. Was it handstand push-ups?
Probably, because you would always give me shit about handstand push-ups. But I don't even think I knew. I don't even think I knew that. Or maybe it was my partner.
No. He's like a bike story, and then there's like deadlift stories, and then there's like, like if it's your husband, then it's like whenever it's dry, and then like it's hard to breathe, and it's really just it's a hard workout. We just say it's the Santa Anas. I got it. I know how this works. Hey,
everyone's tendencies.
Totally. I know what's coming. I can smell it. Hey, what drives you as a coach daily?
I think just knowing that we're all on a journey together. It's not just, I think I'm learning just as much as the people who come into my gym. I'm learning how to handle other people's stories as well, and trying to move them into a direction where they feel like they're on a path to success and like going towards the direction they actually want to go. Even though things are hard in the moment. I don't know, just
that's awesome.
Being in it together.
Yeah, that's pretty dead on. I think a lot of people don't realize the importance of the journey, because if you look back at everything we went through, like staying at the house, the training, the day-to-day, you might remember Del Mar, but you sure as shit remember the cycles, the
every day
in and day out. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And being like, damn, I don't even know how I'm still awake at 6:30 p.m. and we're about to do these intervals, and I'm going to be here in another 10 hours to do it again.
Survivor Series.
Learning to deal with the soreness, I think, is what I have to explain to people on a regular basis. That's probably the hardest thing to explain to them. Like, I can't even walk. You want me to come to the gym today?
It'll be better.
That's the only way that's the only way to start walking.
Yeah, totally. It's like, there's no way. Hey, so what's your ideal perfect client, athlete, train, like member? What's your ideal person to deal
Someone
with?
who's hungry.
Ooh,
Hungry. Not hungry eyes, but
right,
hungry to learn. Like,
right.
ask questions. Just wants to be on a journey and wants to go in the path of most resistance and not the path of least resistance. Like someone who's already understands that. Um, because that just learning that probably takes years.
Yeah.
I think that's why it takes people so long as well to like get the results they want to get. I'll tell you my least favorite is people
Whoa,
who
whoa,
come in and
whoa, whoa,
I
whoa,
can't tell you
whoa,
that.
whoa. Hold on.
No.
Hey, Donna, what's your least
Okay.
favorite? what's your least favorite member or not so favorite client?
Someone who says, I can't do that though. Like I can't wrap my thumb or I can't um someone who says they can't, but also someone who's like, I just feel like I'm getting bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people dream to get bigger,
Yes.
like spend
Mhm.
their whole life or like, I don't want to look like that. That's why I don't want to do this. Or, it's like, I don't think you understand how much work it actually takes to look like those people. Like
Yes.
you're not you're not even close to being in that category. But
Yes.
anyway, but it being more aesthetic than being like, I just want to learn, I want to get better. And then, all those other things kind of coming to fruition because you put in the effort in the first place.
It's funny how people actually they almost body shame others because they're ashamed of their own, right? So like obviously someone that's extremely muscular and a female that has a square jaw because she's below her 12% missing menstrual cycles isn't always the most attractive. And maybe in the middle of action when she's trying to kill somebody or win isn't the best time to capture anybody, male or female. But let me tell you, it's very rare that those ladies naked are going to be like, ooh, no, you don't look too good naked. Like, it's just confusing to me. Like, and I get it. I think thick women are beautiful. I think muscular women are beautiful. Women are blessed. They're beautiful. But it's crazy to me that they will create this like body image of like, no, if you realize that your body is clay, you could physically do whatever you want. So you get a little too muscular.
Yeah,
And then
you
you're like,
can
oh,
you
I'm
can mold it
soften it
into
up.
whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
People just don't think
And
that they can change.
they don't
Hence
want to
why
work. Yeah.
they don't change.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
their body has physically never changed. It's only changed in the wrong direction. You see it? You
Correct.
know what I mean? It's like because they never did anything hard enough or sacrificed enough to make it go in the other direction. So they just don't think it's possible. It's physically and mentally not possible for them to, like, they can't even conceive that thought.
You
So
think
like
you
that's
think
the
it's,
hardest part is
do,
convincing people of that.
do you think it's because the amount of time that's needed, or is like they don't realize the amount of time they put into getting out of shape? Because it's crazy to me that people would go through maybe 4 or 6 years, or like my mom, 50 years with not paying attention to her health. Like I don't understand it. And I don't understand it because now we're in the middle of a pandemic where she's getting super old. Her mom's getting dementia. My dad's 80 something. And the doctors now are like knocking on her door telling her, hey, these things are piling up. And now she's like, oh, Maxie, when you said I needed to do this, this is what I need to do now. And I'm like, oh, well, I love you, Mom. What do you want me to do? Like, you think it's because of the amount of time that's needed? Is it because they were never educated correctly? Where does it?
It's the education. I believe from when they were moldable, when they were younger. Like you're a lot more likely to listen to things whenever you're younger and try to take them in because, like, I don't know, I've only been on the planet 31 years. Maybe more than me. You're 55. You've been on this planet longer than me. Maybe I should listen to you versus being 70. And then you have your, 40-year-old son who's like, hey, you should be doing this, this, and this. And you're like, I've been on this planet way longer than you. I don't need to change. I'm here this long. I created you. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
this.
Oh, yeah. I started
But
coaching.
yeah.
Yeah, I started coaching in my 20s and nobody wanted to listen to me. And I was like aesthetically good looking. I wasn't out of shape yet. I wasn't trying to be a weightlifter and a heavyweight lifter, you know, so like people were like more intimidated me. And then as I got older and got heavier into my weight class, people started listening to me more about weight loss, which was so weird. Still makes me laugh till this day, but you know, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I know there's a lot of stuff that I don't get either in terms of, I think the more information you have and the smarter you are, in something specific, you know, an expert in something specific, the people you want to help the most, the people that, you know, what drove you to even do what you did. Like for me, like going to chiropractic school, like I wanted to be able to help my parents. I literally listened to my dad complain about back pain from the time I could even hear. Like it's been like forever, my entire life. So it's like finally I have this degree and I know how to help you, but you won't even let me.
Yeah, no
So I'm
way.
going to help everybody else's freaking dad, but my own. Great. You know?
Yep.
And it's
Yeah.
like, that's just kind of how it goes. But,
Painful. Painful. Hey, Dad, I'm going to need a little bit now. I'll pay for my school now since you don't want to use the benefit of it one way or another. I'm going to get it out of you. Hey, so give me a funny coaching story, whether it's yourself or a situation. Give me a funny coaching story.
This is hard.
Like, or give me like something that happened this week at the gym.
What I was telling you earlier, where it was literally Saturday morning and I had worked on like 2 or 3 people already in the morning. My mistake, I hadn't eaten breakfast yet, but I wanted to jump in the 9 a.m. class. One of our coaches was coaching it because I had that window from 9 to 10 to be able to work out. Brian was gone out of town. And then I was working on people again from 10 until 12. So it was like my one chance. But in the class, like people were just, I don't know. I was like, why are y'all even coming to class today? You know, like everybody wants to, yes, just do their own thing, talking in the corner. Somebody's trying to go in the sauna, make sure it's on, you know, all these different things. And so, you know, like I jumped up in front of the class and was like, sorry, too aggressive. Brought my phone. Popped it off the little stand. Okay, so I was like, you guys, what? I felt like you, actually. I was like, I should probably tone it down a little bit. Good thing Brian wasn't at the gym because he would have been like, pump the brakes. You know? But I was like, if no one holds you guys accountable, you know, we had like false grip ring rows, right? And no one likes to do anything false grip. No one likes to hook grip. No, you know what I mean? Like, we're not weightlifters. What are you talking about? We don't want to do that. I don't care about that. And so I was having them do a false grip ring row because everybody, you know, when they do their pull-ups and stuff, they just reach their chin over the bar. Like everyone does this for their pull-ups. So I'm like, you gotta come into further extension of that shoulder. And because everyone also has shoulder pain. So I'm like thinking on this on so many different levels. Because I have people who will complain about, you know, certain things hurting them. And the first thing I always say, I'm like, well, try to get your chest to the bar when you do a pull-up then. You know, it's like that's always my rebuttal, is trying to fix something they did in their movement versus if the first thing I say is you need to roll that spot some more. Well, that's not even fixing it.
Yep.
You know, so unless you're on a journey to fix your form, to do it right, it's going to keep hurting you forever and ever and ever. And then you're just going to slowly get more and more and more stiff. And that joint's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And that arthritis you think you have is actually going to become arthritis, you know? So because it's not yet, it's not right now, but it will when you stop working out. And so anyway, I told them, like in front of the whole class, I was like, if you guys don't want anyone to hold you accountable, then I just shouldn't work here. I shouldn't be a coach because I'm going to do it no matter what. Like I care. And then one of the older men in the class, who's always like, he's like a hype man, you know, he played college football and he's like in his mid 50s and he's always like yelling for people and cheering people on. And, You know, he himself is like, he's just super intense in general, but has the worst mobility of anyone in the class. Um, but he's, you know, he's amazing. But anyway, he was like, you know what? You're right, coach. You're right. And starts like trying to tell everybody that, you know, that's how it
Lock
should
it
be
up.
and we should be happy, you
Yeah,
know,
lock it up.
that I'm being a little more on top of them. But you know, I think setting the example too, though, like the fact that I'm in the class and I'm doing it with them, like you guys always did that at
Yeah,
Costa Mesa. And you
yeah.
know, and so like if you're a part of the process and you're a part of the program and you're doing it too, and everybody's, you know, invested in that, that's why you have dedicated to the program as your you know, your motto basically for the gym. And it's true. You know, if you are setting that example, you're my coach, you're doing it too, you're in the trenches with me, you're sore as hell with me. I'm 500 times more likely to invest wholeheartedly in what we're doing. You know, you've just been doing it way longer than I have with your own space, you know, your own
Well,
thing.
I
So
think
you have.
people. Do you think people get like when they do that with their community, they don't realize that the whole purpose of having a community is to be a part of your community? Because if not, then you can just work hourly or be a personal trainer. Because I can make more as a personal trainer than I can as a community coach. Like it's way
Most
easier.
definitely.
So
Yeah,
and
it'd
I
be
do
way,
it
and it's
way
way
less people.
easier for me to just have a chiropractic office too.
Yeah. Yeah, but I am infatuated with having a community of health-like individuals that want to get better and perform better. And I think sometimes people forget that when they're coaching themselves. Suddenly they're like, "Oh, well, I do my own workout." And like, "Well, did you work out with your like people?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "But why not?" Like they're
Or they
there.
get burnt out. They get burnt out, or they're just not like really into it anymore. They kind of lose their own steam. You'll never lose steam if you have your community of people with you,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
because
absolutely.
it truly is just a way of life, and choosing to um, just want to be a part of something that's bigger than you know.
So I actually have a funny story. Not I don't know if it's funny, but I do know that there's a good story. When you guys came in, I had a dream of building a collegiate program in CrossFit and trying to get people that were just average Joes or high level athletes that never really did CrossFit to actually start develop. And then you guys showed up after like 2 years of starting this program. And I knew that if I made two teams one year, it would get us closer to the games and it would build us a better program. And you guys, I said, hey, you guys have to sacrifice for me for 1 year, but I promise you I'll pay it back because that's how we're all going to work together. And sure as shit, that 1 year with the two teams really put forth the effort of creating a very like cool collegiate vibe at my gym. And next thing you know, within 5 years, we technically qualified for the CrossFit Games. So it's pretty interesting to see how that played out. So I just wanted to tell you guys thank you. And in the research and everything that we did in that journey, it was well worth it to all of us. But I apologize that you never got to go. That was
I
the
actually
goal.
did go to the games.
Yeah, I know you did. Me and you equals. Me and you equals.
Yeah,
And
but it was a much different vibe not
I
going to the
was
games
an
and being a
individual.
part of this gym. So it wasn't about, it really never was about just getting to the games as much as, you know, that's how I felt at the time.
Yeah,
But the whole time I was in college, you know, we made it to the World Series my first year. But as I understood more, learned more, and actually got better, we didn't make it to the World Series again. But it doesn't mean that those seasons weren't, you know, a huge integral part of what developed and made me, you know, into how I'm going to help, you know, the rest of the people that I can come into contact with for the rest of my life, you know.
for sure.
So it it goes far beyond just that making it to the games, you know.
Oh
Because
yeah,
there's I'm super grateful for the push and the push in the way that you pushed all of us and the relationships that were fostered because of it. Um, you know, because I made friends that, you know, whenever we were moving to Texas, like you saw me,
Mhm.
like couldn't stop crying for like 2 weeks.
Well, that's more for you.
The 26 hours away, you know, it's just because I was
California.
6 months pregnant, but
Yeah, and you were pregnant. Yeah,
a
but
little emotional, but
California's beautiful,
still,
but it
like
sucks here.
that community is my heart.
For sure, for sure. What's your favorite? What's your favorite methodology?
In
Like,
terms of what?
like CrossFit, general physical fitness, like strength conditioning. Did you like the Windler stuff we did? Do you like the Westside stuff? Did you like the Gunther stuff? All the gymnastic programs that we used to do. Like, what would be your favorite methodology?
I think because I am a female and I was not a gymnast, and because I played a ball sport my entire life, gymnastics was a like huge, like what? I'm supposed to be able to do that? There's no way, right? The development, I think, the massive range of improvement that I was able to gain in like a matter of 2 years, you know, of being at CFCM, you know, within that program was huge. I think that might be my favorite because that's also what I think brings most of the people to table because they see you doing something crazy. That's a,
Mhm.
you know, a gymnastic, like you're walking on your hands. They're like, I've never been able to even do a cartwheel, you know, and then you get them to be able to go upside down and actually be able to pick their hands up and do different things. So, in terms of a coach and coaching things, I think gymnastics, you know, the things that I learned there, are
I
probably
really
my
do like,
favorite.
for sure. I really like our and the way we structure our gymnastics program in that whole like Max Fit kind of deal. I really liked how we've developed
Well,
it
and
throughout.
doing it in a warm up every day.
Every day.
It's the consistency. And you're like, my hands are hot. I did 500 pull-ups yesterday. Yep. Still doing gymnastics warm up.
I
Get
learned that from
over
a
it.
gymnast. I learned that from a gymnast. The gymnast said, "Hey, I only train upper body, so I don't know what you're talking about. I'm only going to pull, push, and pull and push and walk on my hands, and this is what I do." And once I learned that, I was like, "Well, I guess it's like a weightlifter. You just got to understand the same methodology of being able to handle that."
Yeah.
What is?
I mean, I
What is?
think the weightlifting program, no doubt. I mean, I could barely squat, you know?
Yeah.
So now going in and teaching, you know, teaching other people as a coach, that whole concept of like, you're going to have to do 10 sets of 10 back squats at a pretty
Ooh,
heavy weight, you
you like
know?
that GBT? Huh? You like that GBT? Huh? That's another good methodology as well.
Well,
Is
it's
that?
because it completely changes the way that you feel for like a month.
Yeah.
You know, like the hormonal reset, you know, the dump that you get from that is so you can't replicate that
No,
anywhere else.
for sure. What's your favorite regiment? Like Monday through Thursday, rest Friday. Now we run more of a 3 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. Which one did you
Yes,
like the most?
the 3 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off.
You like that
But
one?
no doubt the 4 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off gives you results
Yeah.
for sure.
The,
I
the,
think you have to dabble with both
yeah.
as an athlete, depending on what you want specifically. You know, if you want to lose weight, or you know, you probably need to rest more, uh,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
people think it's the opposite. So,
So,
but if you're trying to grow and you're trying to, you know, get bigger, get stronger, you have to have phases in there. You have to go more days on.
yeah. What's
That's just how it
what's your
feels.
favorite exercise? Like what's your favorite gymnastics exercise? Let's start there. Handstand push-ups.
Handstand push-ups.
Yeah. What, is it?
Well, I
Really?
actually like
Something like that?
handstand walking
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Handstand
For
walking
sure.
is way easier than handstand push-ups.
Yeah, for sure. What's your favorite barbell exercise?
Snatch, no doubt.
Yeah. All right.
I'm
All
a sucker for the snatch. When I see clean and jerks, I really want to not do them
right.
just
What's
for the snatch.
that's a, hey, I tell you what, I'm a big time clean and jerker, but now that I'm getting older and I'm like, oh, the snatch is just so much nicer. It's not so hard on the torso. Like, oh, it's so much easier. What's
Yes.
what's your favorite monostructural movement?
My favorite one or the one I need the most?
Either one.
They're usually the opposite.
Yeah. I don't
Or
like the
really,
bike, but I
they're
love the
the
bike.
same. Exactly. I mean, it would
Yeah.
have to be the bike because I never really rode a bike until I started doing CrossFit. And then now you're making me do it with other stuff,
Yeah.
as fast as I can. But no, when I was pregnant, that bike was my best friend though. We had an Echo bike and I would just go as hard as I could on that bike for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'd rest for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'd do it again, right? Because we had moved. So this
Yeah.
last 3 months, it was, imperative that I kept, an anaerobic base because when you have a baby, you're anaerobic. You're not
Yeah.
breathing. You're
Yeah.
supposed to be breathing, but there's a period of time there where you don't have any control over your body. Your body takes over, and so it just does what it's got to do. And you submit. And I think that the bike forces you to submit a little bit. That's like the closest you can get to that type of like, you know,
Selling out.
Brian
Or,
told me I look like a shark. Yeah. Like he was like, you look like a shark when you were having Bobby. Like your eyes glazed over. I didn't even know where you were, And then after you come out of that contraction, you're like, this is great.
yeah. The
I don't
best
know
was
why everybody doesn't do this.
I feel like Jillian, like the second time, just kind of almost let that happen more, like a little bit easier. And I was kind of like, whoa. I was like, okay, okay. What would you
Yeah.
tell a rookie coach? What would you tell a rookie coach, someone that's starting to coach? What would you tell them?
Command your class and people will respect you. And if you yourself aren't doing what the program that you're coaching people in, freaking start doing it. That's what I would tell them.
It's gonna be
Because
tough.
there's no way you can coach someone on something and really 100% believe in what you're telling them and coaching them unless you already went through it or you're about to go through it. You have a different empathy. You feel it with them, you feel it for them, and it comes out as it's genuine when you're coaching versus, telling people what to do and you're going to do this, this, and this, and not really having the ability to guide them through like what it's going to feel like, what it should feel like. And if it starts feeling like this, do this, but also just being aware of how important breath work is and knowing how to breathe through workouts and during workouts. So, I mean, I have a lot of things to tell a rookie coach.
Well, I think it's funny. Like people come in and they're like, or like, and I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, I'm breathing. I'm like, but why?
Why like that?
But why? It seems very laborious. And they're like, but it's not really that. Like, is it? I'm like, I'm pushing it out. I'm like, are you playing tennis? Are you trying to hit something? Like, what's the, like, if you're trying to create impact and a force and then it has to be like a push, not a grunt. And then and then people just start looking at me and they don't realize like it's so important. So important. Veteran coach, what do you tell an old coach?
Keep your fire going. Figure that out, whatever your fire is, because it's going to change and it's not always going to stay the same. I have people ask me all the time, like, you don't miss playing, you don't miss softball. And it's like, no, because when I was in that time, I did everything I freaking could to be the best that I could be, to be in the moment, so like, I don't have any regrets over that. So do I, if they came back in the Olympics, would I be like, damn, I really would like to do that? Yes. But at the same time, I'm doing so much stuff every single day that I really love that I'm not like, I don't feel like I'm missing out.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's probably, as a veteran coach, someone who's been coaching for a really long time, is like, keep learning, like try to find a community or people around you, pull people in around you that you know are going to fire you up, you know? And I think because there's quite a few people who don't want to be pushed anymore. You know, it's like I've been there, done that. My dad, I'm always going to go back to him. I flew in planes going to Vietnam. I jumped out of them. I'm never riding a plane again. And it's like I can't even fathom that. I probably would say the same thing if I was him and had to do that. Okay. But things that aren't that extreme, you
Yeah.
know, you can have a passion for a really, really long time if you continue just know what your community is and what your community is worth, and that you need other people around you who have more fire than you, and be okay, accept that.
Yes.
Pull them in harder, pull them in tighter instead of pushing those people away that challenge you.
You can tell that the athletes at the highest level have those around them that are at or a better level in certain things for a reason. Like they got training camps that have better sparring partners. They have like athletes that are better than at weightlifting or conditioning and CrossFit. You have triathletes that have one of each modality that's better than them, that trains with them. Like there's no like high level athlete. Tour de France, they'll get sprinters and they'll do sprints with sprinters and mountains with the mountain bikers, and they'll do the same type of regimen where others are better than them, and they will allow for it because they understand that that will rise to the top. I would say that might be one of our issues that we had, was that we had some kids that was really hard for them to allow for others to kind of rise together, or to hold each other accountable. I get on Nathan about that all the time, poor little guy. But in his defense, I mean, we were all kind of adults too, right? So it's like some things you got to just do on your own. Like, like you can't always expect like, hey, and he said it too. If I'm doing something, I'm just expecting everybody else is doing it too. Right? Like if I'm having to do all this crap, I'm expecting you're doing all this crap because we're all having to do this crap together. You know, and that's interesting as we get older, how that becomes more and more something. Like as a veteran coach, you almost just begin to think like, oh, hey, people are just doing it. And it's like, no, you got to ride them, unfortunately. What would you tell both coaches? Like the secret. You were going to put it in a capsule.
Huh?
You're going to put something in a capsule and put it into a time thing. And two coaches, a rookie and an old coach, are going to find it in 100 years. What are you going to tell them?
Just remember your why. I mean, why do you even care to do what you're doing? You know, like there's something deep down inside of you that happened a long time ago. There's some, something that drove you to want to help people in the first place. So it's no different. Like people will be like, why'd you want to become a chiropractor? Like, why'd you want to help people? Why'd you want to, like, you're a teacher. That's what you are. You're a teacher. That's it. Like any doctor, like any healthcare professional, nurses, like you're a teacher, because guess what? That person already has inside of them, the person you're trying to help, all of everything that they need to be successful, healthy, whatever it is that you want them to be, stronger. They just need to understand. And when they finally understand, they will follow, they will do, they will chase, they'll fight for you, but until then, until they understand, it's going to continue to be, a struggle, some type of resistance towards the direction you're trying to get them to go, whether that's healthier, stronger, no matter what it is. So if, at your core, you understand that you're a teacher, you're not a healer, you're not a, this brings me to another point. I told someone, I was working at an office for someone, a chiropractic office, and I was talking to the staff, and one was a massage therapist, the other one was a front desk woman, and I was like, I think if somebody asked me, one of them was like, if you had 5 things that you could define yourself as, like 5 different nouns, right? As to describe yourself, like what would they be? And none of them were chiropractor.
Really?
They were
Really?
expecting me to say that first. And I was like, teacher, coach, athlete, mom, wife. Like, chiropractor never came up. And they were like, really? You would never, like, you wouldn't even like describe yourself as a chiropractor? And I was like, chiropractor just means healing, like helping with your hands. It means hands. Chiro is hands. It's like, while I wholeheartedly love what I do, I do not identify myself with chiropractic.
Yeah.
And like that blows their mind, because, you know, the woman that they've worked for X amount of years is like, you know, so much that way. And it's like, well, really, I just want to teach people how to feel better. But if I myself don't feel good, how could I teach you? And how could I care about you? Because I don't care about myself, you know? And so it's obvious when someone really is trying to help you, you can just look at them and you can tell if they're healthy themselves. Like, I would never listen to a doctor who was smoking a cigarette in front of my face, you know? And so it's like, what was even the question? I'm
I
terrible at this.
No, it was good. I tell my dad all the time. I tell my dad, my mom, I hate this. I hate that they did this to me one time. My mom says, "Hey, can you go?" And I tell the story too. Can you go with your dad to the doctor? And I'm like, "Go with my dad to the doctor? I never go with my dad."
Bad idea.
Right? Like, what's going to happen? Right? And she's like, "I can't go today." And I'm like, "This is something's up. Something's up. My mom's trying to get me here." So I go. I'm like, I'm going to help out the family. Like, I'm going to be a team player. I go to the doctor, and then the doctor's in there with my dad, and he tells my dad and says, looks at him and says, "Leon, you're hypertensive. You're going to need to stop drinking coffee, stop smoking, and you're going to have to eat better." And my dad looks at him, and my dad's lean too, right? And he looks at him and says, "Doctor, you lose some weight, I'll stop smoking." And I was like, oh, fuck. That was the one of the worst situations where that doctor's office got so small. I was like this against the wall, like, oh, I know why you made me come. But he had a good point. He had a great point. Like, why not? Like, doc, you know, you be a little healthier. I mean, I'm down to get healthy if you're down to get healthy. And, you know, I know he was being an asshole. And when I left, I was like, hey, you didn't have to be an asshole. And then he was like, yeah, but like, I mean, he's being straightforward with me. I'm being straightforward with him. I thought we were friends. And I was like, I don't think that's how it works. But I mean, it's important to be able to communicate that.
And just as a side to that, like with trying to get someone to stop smoking, like, why didn't the doctor try to explain to him, like, or you need to eat healthy? Okay, do you know how to eat healthy? Can you give me some guidance versus just telling me that? But that's not even the point I'm trying to make. It's about smoking. Like, why couldn't the doctor just say, hey, do you know why you like smoking so much?
Yeah, totally.
It's because you're taking a break. You're going outside and getting away from everybody. You can't hear your screaming kid. You can't hear your wife telling you some shit you don't want to hear. You know, you get to take a break. You go away. And guess what you do? You do this. You take a big ass deep breath.
Yeah.
A bunch of times until that cigarette is gone. So maybe what, 30, 40, 50 deep breaths? Why don't you just try to take deep breaths without the cigarette? Pretend. Don't light your cigarette. Just pretend like you're smoking that cigarette and see if you don't feel better. There was a guy that I got who stopped smoking after smoking for 34 years when I was at that other office. And he's like, no one's ever told me that like that. I'm going to try that. And like, that's all I want to do is I want to search for ways to be able to get across to someone that, hey, this is the reason why it feels good. This is probably why you're doing it. Why don't you just try that once or twice and just see? And if not, you know, tell me I'm full of shit and keep smoking, you know?
or work around it, you know. At least when I
Yeah.
realize, oh, shit, it's the break. So now I got to break and go chew some gum and spit it out, or smoke half a cigarette and then wean myself off, or whatever like psychological way you're going to come off of it. But understanding that, you know, the break is huge. I feel like a lot of people suffer from back problems more and more because they're not taking a smoker's break. So like, I feel like if we got out of our chair and went outside and did 30 big breaths and then came back to work, we would be healthier. And so I think,
or just every time you go to the bathroom, just do 30 squats, sit on the toilet and stand up. You know,
you imagine if we worked in a corporate office where like you told people like, hey, you have to go outside and do 30 breaths every hour. You played a bell. And then when you went to the bathroom, you had to do 30 squats to get into a bathroom. Like there was always like an exercise you had to do in order to get something out of like in order to take your break, you had to do 15 push-ups, like stuff like that. Hey, we might be on something.
You would do it.
We might be onto something. Yeah, for sure. Hey, what is you're now building a community. What type of community do you want to be building? Like, what do you want to be kind of known, and like, what's your community? What's your community message, if you will?
I think I want to build a community of people who want to be pushed and enjoy it, because I mean, why else how else do you get anywhere?
Yeah, totally.
You know, like, yeah, you can go, let's come to the gym and hang out and talk, and you know, but until like, you're not going to feel good about yourself until you do something you didn't think you could do. And the only way to have happy, joyful people is to do something hard every day. You know, like if I'm so much better of a person and a mom if I've done something. She has a sticker on her forehead. Just doing something that, you know, you didn't think you could do. You surprise yourself. So I just want to build a community of people who could do that.
That's awesome. And you guys been plugging away now, huh? You guys are back at it. You guys are open. Gyms running. Offices running.
We renovated right as quarantine hit.
Oh, nice.
So we had already made plans in December or January. So when we had the lockdown, the construction company that we went with, the contractor, was like, hey, we're gonna start right now. And so I think it took them 9 weeks. And so we were able to open the doors. They were finishing up construction the day after we were able to open. So it was like May 18th. So from March 18th until May 18th, we were under construction. We hit the ground running.
That's awesome.
So it's been great. And because we're in Texas, you know, we have a little more leeway in terms of, you know, COVID and all that. So it allowed us to be able to have a business, you know, and still be able to be in person. And technically I'm an essential worker, you know, healthcare worker. So having that as part of the gym makes a big difference. Bobby?
I feel like that would be crucial for us, because I mean, if we had that right now, I for sure would be like, oh, I guess we're going back inside because we're all working under Dom. So I mean,
it's hot. It's hot out there.
Yeah, dude, it's hard on people.
Burning your palms.
Yeah, and it's also hard on people too, with like the chaos of like the mask, not the mask, to go in, not to go in. Like, it's just so much controversy both ways that it's just hard on people to understand, like, you know, coming in, not coming in. It's confusing to me, but I feel bad for like certain people. Like, they just, like, you know, I feel like we provide a really good, safe environment, but I do understand the concern and the inability to come in and work out. But then again, I watch them go and use like public restrooms. So, you know, I don't really.
We go to grocery stores.
Yeah, I don't get certain things, and our health and fitness is probably the most important than anything else. So it'll be interesting
to keep you from getting sick.
Yeah, the new people coming, I think they'll be interesting to see a new batch of really, really hungry people to want to actually get healthy, and will be beneficial from it. Donna, I want to say thank you. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate. Hey, look, I think did not give you. Hold on. I don't think you're. I gave you I think I called you. There was like a no O in your name here. I have to say that. I can call you Donnie though. I'm into that. Donna, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. This is something where I value the time I get with my friends, but more so I value my time with very, very caring and giving coaches. And I've been around a lot of coaches. I've been around a lot of athletes. I've been around a lot of individuals. And I just want to say that you have something special. And I'm blessed that I was able to be around it and be a part of it. And congratulations. Keep it up. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for asking me to do it. I love you guys, and you know that. So
I miss you so much.
I know I miss you too. I'll give you the biggest hug when we see each other.
Don't worry. If I ever want to get out of California, I just might come and live out there. So
always got a space.
I told Steven, I said, hey, if you don't answer soon, I'm just going to call him and tell him I'm taking it. So.
Yeah. Sounds good.